All right. Well, recording in progress. Thank you for joining me in Grateful AF, Grateful Alcohol Free 3 days before the excess of Thanksgiving. I thought is a really wonderful time to not drink and to lower your tolerance and to really get in more of a mind body mode for the holidays. Because, of course, after Thanksgiving, it immediately becomes Christmas and there's cookies and drinks and stuff everywhere. And as mindful drinkers, part of our practice is in the religion that I started, no, is having alcohol-free days. And so if you are new to the practice of mindful drinking, alcohol-free days might feel a little like freaky deaky, like might feel like, don't know how to do that, but I want to. Or you might be like some of the ladies here returning to the maintenance of a practice of having alcohol-free days regularly, which they can attest to, and I can certainly attest to, are just their lifestyle components. They're life changing. When you regularly have alcohol-free days, you really feel more and more like yourself. You have so much more energy. Your sleep is better. Your skin is brighter. There's nothing that is not better by taking regular time off of drinking, which also overflow. When you take regular alcohol-free days, it influences the overall volume that you're even capable of drinking. So what might seem like your normal amount now, that like the most you can tolerate, or even like the point where you feel like you're getting sick, that level goes down, 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 down over time. Simply by practicing alcohol-free days, your overall volume decreases as well. So I find this is a really awesome starting point. I have all of my private clients start at this point, practicing full 24-hour cycles, sun up, sundown, of no alcohol. And it's not no alcohol, but alcohol free, reclaiming your energy and your time and your attention back to yourself. Because as regular drinkers, we know how much energy and emphasis and time goes out into thinking about how and when we're going to get to drink. So to reclaim all of that for yourself is so rewarding in and of itself. So my whole premise in offering this event is to make that easier for you. So I'm going to give you, and here's how you play. So you show up every day. That's a win right there. So you either join the Zoom live, and it will be at this time today, 2 o'clock my time, tomorrow same time, which is 9 a.m. Eastern, correct, or 6 a.m. Pacific time. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. So if you show up and you're on the live call, yes, that's a win. That's a point for you. Or if you watch the replay, you can just type below this video when I post it in the Facebook group, replay or watch replay or hello or something like that. And then you also get credit for implementing the techniques and the tools that I'm going to share with you. And they will be different and they will build on themselves each day through these 3 consecutive days. And then I'm going to post a thread. I'm going to start a thread chat. So this is all happening inside the Facebook group. So there's you don't have to go anywhere else or join anything else or anything like that. So even if you haven't made it here today and you are within this group, you're welcome to come join. You didn't miss the boat. And so writing, you're going to write about your experience. That's the second component, is to write about the experience of implementing the technique or the mindset shift training, whatever it is that I offer on that day. When you implement it later in the day, which is usually around the witching hour, like the 4, 5, 6 p.m. for most people, come into the group and write about what that was like in your own experience when you tried that on. And then the third way, that there is no fail, right? So to have the intention to have a full day alcohol free, and if you don't make it, but you tried, or you tried, but you do make it, you also get a point. I'm not keeping track of points. You can do that. Showing up and writing and implementing and trying is how you can build a credit, so to speak. I don't have like a virtual assistant to keep track of everybody. So you'll be keeping track of yourself. And so if you do this for 3 days, you will go into a drawing and I will literally write your name on a hat and pull a name out, and that person will win an hour of transformational coaching with me. So it will be private, just you and I. And I normally, of course, charge for that time. So it will be free and a gift to you and an incentive to play and to get better at the practice of mindful drinking, because it is a skill and it is a practice, and it's something that you do have to think about initially and to incorporate into your life in ways that feel sustainable and good for you. And we have to make it fun, because if we don't make it fun and enjoyable, we're going to revert to what feels fun and enjoyable, which for most people right now in this group, I would say, is just drinking the way that you've been drinking. But if you're in this group, that says to me and that says to you, you're saying this to yourself, that you want change. So this is a great way to do it. Thank you so much for being here. This might seem like review for people who have been in one of my group coachings or been my private client, but review is great, and I like review as well. It works for me too. Well, who am I? I'm Jessica, and I started this group a couple years ago when I really found out how to change my drinking, and when it started working for me, and my world was changed basically, because I couldn't unsee and I couldn't understand the new things that I was learning about myself and alcohol and its effect on our brains and bodies, and how I really wanted to live my life instead. So you might have heard me say this 1,000 times, but I was a daily drinker for many, many years, like since my 20s, when I was a bartender and I was in college, and I drank all the time, all the effing time. And as a more mature adult out of college, I just continued to drink. And instead of going out, I would just drink at home. And the capacity of my drinking, my daily drinking, was like 1.5 bottles of red wine every single day, no matter what, for no occasion. And then on the weekends, I could probably drink like 2 or 3 bottles of wine for sure. And then I would normalize that by remedying myself and like putting on the face of I'm okay. And doing whatever I could to feel better, right? Like eating well and exercising and like flossing and drinking a bunch of water and like making myself feel more grounded. So then I could go again, drink the next night, right? And even if I got super sick, I would just take an aspirin and I would do it again. And I got to a point where my heart would be palpitating, and I had horrible anxiety, and I would be like sweating for no reason, and I just started having like physical symptoms and crazy emotional roller coasters all the time. Like the simplest thing would just break me. I had no tolerance for stress. I had no tolerance for my kids, and I seriously, because I was so obsessed and in love with drinking, you never wanted it to be that, even though in the back of my mind it was always like, you drink too much. I think you drink too much. Maybe it's not normal to drink every day. Maybe you should do something about this. And then one day, ultimately, I just had that confession to myself, and I said it out loud to another person who works in my field. And she was like, oh, that's how much I drink. Maybe I drink too much. And we just had this conversation of like, why is this normal? Like, why have we just taken this for granted that it's like okay to drink so much alcohol? And my objective and my ambition is not to rid the world of alcohol or to demonize it and to like make it go away. My intention is to help people fortify themselves and to have a deeper understanding of themselves and why they actually don't need it, why you don't need it, why you're actually so much better off when you can exercise control over yourself instead of having to control the situation or the environment. Like, why not just feel whole and good no matter what, no matter where you are, no matter if you're at a party or if people want to invite you somewhere. That whole level of anxiety, like social anxiety about going where there's drinking and feeling like knowing that you're just going to like make yourself sick. I feel so strongly and passionately that we can overcome this. I have overcome this, and it's phenomenal. And I help people do this as my work now, because I just find it so powerful and so interesting what our minds will compel us to do. So that they've compelled us to go in a certain direction for so long, we need to learn how to undrink. We need to learn new techniques that bring us back into ourselves, into a place of wholeness, without feeling like we have to have alcohol to give us or manage our feelings or to take the stress away, or whatever the reasons are that we tell ourselves. And I go into that further in other programs. I won't necessarily be doing too much deep in the woo of the belief system function, even though that is like primarily the most important piece to look at. But I want to make this really accessible and really easy entry point, or review if you're here for like a refresher, especially before the holidays. So what we're gonna do is we're going to look at the the anatomy of how an urge or a craving actually occurs, and to have the understanding that when you set out to have an alcohol-free day, you must also expect to a degree that you're going to think about drinking or that you're going to want to drink. And if you don't, amazing. But it also helps calm the anxiety instead of it just like coming to you and slapping you in the face at like 5 or 6 o'clock that now you feel like drinking. Anticipate that you're going to feel that way right now, like this morning. Anticipate that about 4, 5, 6. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to identify the time that you normally drink today. Most of us already know that, but like say it out loud and write it down. 5:30 when I get off work. 6 o'clock when I start making dinner. Like, what is it specifically? What time is it? And specifically, what are you doing in the evening time when you have that first drink, or when you pour a drink, have a drink? The first or the only, whatever it is. Oh, no judgment here. Whatever it is, whatever it is, just total radical honesty with yourself. What time is it? And what are you doing? That's simple. And then have the foresight that because you're so trained that way, you're very conditioned to drink at that time. Or if you've been working on it, then you already have that foresight, right? But to give yourself the understanding that around that time, you're going to think about or feel like drinking. I would even set an alarm. For like, I drink at 5:30 every day because that was when it was kosher for me to do so. That was when it was like acceptable, right? Like kids were home, I didn't have to drive anywhere, and it was like, okay, 5:30, time for me to drink, time for me to open my wine and drink that entire bottle of wine. But what time is it? And set an alarm for that time. To give my alarm just went off, to give your mind the comfort and security that you have awareness around this time, that is something that will happen. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what. So at around that time, this is what you can more or less expect. Oops, pardon. Share screen. Share screen. This is a really simple drawing. It's not a drawing, it's a graphic, but you know what I mean. This is what you can expect. There will be a trigger moment. Triggers can also be substituted for the word cue. You're not necessarily triggered. A trigger is an emotional response to a stimulus, but a cue can be something that is visual, right? Like seeing a bottle of wine, or a cue can also be time cues. Cues can also be social cues. Any sort of cue or trigger will happen at that time. At the time that you set your alarm for. Hi, Jen, welcome. I'm recording. I hope that's okay with you. So if you don't want to be on camera, you can turn your camera off, or you can hang out on camera and like your Batman shirt. So your cue or your trigger will start at around the time that you can watch the video again that will explain the beginning aspect of this. Then after that, you are going to feel an energetic buildup, and probably that is going to be exacerbated by the thoughts that you're thinking at this time, like, and they sound something like this, right? Maybe I'll just have like a half. Oh, maybe I'll just have like a light alcohol beer instead. Like some sort of little cheaty voice is going to come in and try to convince you otherwise, that this isn't really what you want to do today. It's the holidays. Oh, my in-laws are here. Oh, they're going to be drinking anyway. All of that chatter is like intertwined in the buildup, which is when that like deciding point often happens, right? And then usually to make that chatter go away is when we would just drink or have a drink, to just like silence all of that. Let's be comfortable and let's not even deal with this today. Tomorrow's another time. Like that putting off and that procrastination will never get you to the point where you actually need to get to, which is the peak. And the peak here is like the height of intensity, right? And this is a place where you can also understand that your mental chatter is probably driving you more nuts than any sort of physical sensation. And a really helpful reminder here, and I got this from Rachel Hart, who's also a drinking coach, a mindful drinking coach. Learn to separate the the mental discomfort from physical discomfort. And if you'll notice, they're distinct, and you're actually not in a place of danger or jeopardy. It's an emotional, it's a mental discomfort. And if you can stay with this that long, this is about 15, 20 minutes. It might seem like an eternity sometimes, especially when you're new at it and you're really staying in the moment and noticing what's occurring through you, really being conscientious that nothing bad is going to happen. Nothing horrible is going to happen. If you can stay with this for 15, 20 minutes, it will fall away. It will crest and it will fall off. There's a peak of experience, it crests and it wanes. There might be another wave of this, right? But to just gain so much awareness of like, oh, this is what's happening. This is the anatomy of a craving. This is what an urge looks like when it's broken down. This visual, I think, just really helps, right? So especially if you're in the buildup, like maybe I'll post this in the group. Maybe you want to put this on your screen, or maybe you want to print it in your wall to have visual reminders that we're actually not isolated in our experience, and that this is a really common and shared phenomenon amongst human beings. Helps us feel more normal, like there's not really anything wrong with us at all. We're just having this experience in this moment. And if you can resist having a drink between the trigger and the buildup and the peak, you will ultimately, that desire, that urge, that craving will wane and it will fall off. And if you've not gotten to this place, today is the day to do it. And I strongly encourage you to try this on. This is also something new that my alumni haven't seen either. I'm a fan of this other hypnotherapist. Her name is Melissa Tier, and she taught this technique, which I thought was super interesting. So in this time between trigger and buildup and peak, we're getting monkey mind, right? It's like, it's a very awkward place to be in. It's never very fun. It is also mental discomfort. It can be emotional discomfort as well, as we begin to really practice feeling our feelings and not pushing them away or drinking them away. But she recommends this, and I think that this is just so simple and amazing. I just grabbed a candle here, but you can grab anything that you can hold with one hand. So whether it's a ball or a water bottle or a shoe or whatever. And in this 20 minutes, you're going to pass the item across the midline of your body, from hand to hand to hand. And you do this. It's actually very relaxing. Like, try this if you're on here live with me. Grab something and pass it from hand to hand. And what this is doing, besides being a rote task that our mind finds very meditative and relaxing, the body actually really likes rote task. And rote task is something you do repetitiously in rhythm over and over, like knitting, right? Or even sweeping, like these things that you don't have to critically think about, crossing the midline of the body. So what this is doing is uniting and harmonizing both hemispheres of the brain. So the left side of the brain is governed by the right side of the body, and the right side of the body is governed by the right side of the brain is governed by the left side of the body, vice versa. You know what I mean? So doing this, it's pretty soothing. And if you're doing it with me right now, how do you feel about it? Right? So you're gonna do that's what you're gonna do today. That's the technique that you're gonna try on. Okay, super simple, super simple. Okay, Ma. Yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. That is the technique that you're gonna try on today. So to just recap, if you came on a little bit later, You're going to identify the time of day that you normally drink. Having the strong intention today, you're going to go full 24 hours without drinking any alcohol, drinking lots of water, having some tea, having some refreshing other drinks. Identify the time that you normally drink. Say what time write that time down, and what are you normally doing at that time? Set an alarm on your phone that's going to go off at that time, and have the anticipation that you're going to feel an urge or a craving at about that time. And when you do, notice that it has an anatomy. Notice that this is a phenomenon, this is a psychological phenomenon, right? That all humans experience. So human. That has a trigger, something that initially starts it, which doesn't have to be a big event. It can be like, right, your boss yelled at you, or like your dog shit on the floor, or it can just be that it's 5:30, or it can just be that you saw a wine commercial. It can be anything. A trigger or a cue, we're using them interchangeably here. And then there's a buildup, and a buildup is intensified by the monkey chatter and the thoughts that you're thinking about it. Right? So just notice how you're doing that. Notice how some part of you is trying to talk yourself into it, talk yourself out of having an AF day. Right? Notice that. And you can even think of it as like two people on your shoulder, like the angel and the devil narrators. So you're like, I hear you. Oh, I hear you. Yes. Well, thank you. Yeah, I hear you. And some sort of response to what you're hearing from yourself as well. It is like having conversations. There are parts of us, right? And the part of us that's attached to drinking habitually or over consuming has a very loud and strong voice. And to just be like, shut up, I don't hear you, only intensifies it and makes it go louder. So acknowledge, oh, I hear you. You think that if I have a half a glass of wine, then that would be fine. Or you think that if I just wait till everyone goes to bed and then I can have it and no one will know. I hear you. You're so funny. Yeah, I'm not going to do that today, right? To stay really strong and solid in your intention and your total ability to have an alcohol-free day. So noticing that the buildup is where it's going to suck the most. And the buildup is what most of us never get past. And that is what keeps a habitual drinking cycle perpetuating for ever until we do something about it. So to get through the buildup is like giving birth here. Like you get to the peak and like inevitably something is going to happen and it's going to be over. It's going to be over. You're going to feel it pass. You're going to feel it pass. And while this is happening, while the buildup is happening, and even through the peak, grab an item that you can hold with one hand and pass it across the midline of your body, uniting and harmonizing the two hemispheres of your brain. So you feel less anxious, you feel more grounded, you feel more in your body, you feel more in control of yourself and your thoughts. And experience the fall and notice, wow, cool. I totally did that. Amazing. Okay. And then also there might be another one, especially for people who this is really new for. If this is your first AF day in a long time, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so proud of you. Amazing. Some people don't even get this far. This is amazing. And also I mentioned earlier, if you're coming on later, you cannot fail here. You cannot fail. You win by showing up each day. You win by sharing your experience with other people as you write about it and message it and thread in the group. And you win by trying. And if you don't make it, you didn't fail. What we'll get into that tomorrow, right? Because nobody has failed. I'm not designating a failure on any. You cannot fail. You cannot fail if you try and you show up. All you can do is learn and try again. Okay, that is what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna do today. I'm gonna stop share. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
Thank you for this, Jessica.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for being here. I'm going to post this in the group and watch it again at your leisure if you like. And thanks for playing. And it's really not, it's no small potatoes to change your drinking. It really isn't. It takes a brave heart and a courageous mind. And all of you have that. So thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank